This is Radio Romania International. You are listening to our one-hour broadcast in English for listeners in Western Europe and Africa. We can also be heard on the internet at www.rri.ro Channel 1. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter and other social media platforms. Our programs are also available on TuneIn and via satellite Eutelsat 16A on 11,512 MHz, vertical polarization, azimuth 16 degrees east. Symbol rate 29,950 megasymbols per second, standard DVB-S2, modulation 8 PSK, audio PID 510. We wish you good reception conditions.
Hello, you are listening to the news on Radio Romania International. I'm Vlad Palcu. Let's look at the top stories. Romania reported over 19,000 new COVID infections on Friday, an absolute record since the start of the pandemic. The strike continues at the Bucharest Municipal Transport Company. And Geneva is today hosting a round of US-Russia talks. 19,649 new infections were reported in the last 24 hours, an absolute high since the start of the pandemic, the Group for Strategic Communication has announced. Yesterday, Romania also reported over 19,000 cases. Also today, 49 related fatalities have also been reported. Health Minister Alexandru Rafila says the COVID-related mortality rate is at present 10 times lower compared to October last year. The Romanian official added that an innovative antiviral treatment will also be made available shortly. 8 million Romanians have so far received at least one dose of the anti-COVID-19 vaccine. The rate of vaccination stands at 47.5% of the total eligible population. The head of the National Committee for the Coordination of Anti-COVID-19 Vaccination Activities, medical doctor Valeriu Gheorghiță, has announced. According to Dr. Gheorghiță, the highest vaccination rate, 56%, is reported in the 50-59 age bracket. The Health Ministry announced that the bed occupation rate in hospitals stands at 22% at national level, meaning classes in schools will continue with full physical attendance next week as well. The strike action staged by trade unionists of the Bucharest Municipal Transport Company continues today. Drivers this morning refused to do their regular itineraries, although the Bucharest Tribunal yesterday issued a ruling to suspend the strike and force the company to resume public transport activities. The Court of Law today will rule on a second notification advanced by the company over the legality of the protest. Trade union leader Vasile Petrariu says public transport will resume once the company director Adrian Criță resigns, also calling for a 10% increase of salaries. Adrian Criță says that earlier this year he invited the trade unions to negotiate the collective employment agreement, but has so far received no response. Bucharest Mayor Nicu Șordan argues the protest is purely political and has called on the authorities to enforce the law. Geneva is today holding a round of talks between the USA and Russia. Attending will be Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken. The US official on Wednesday paid a visit to Kiev, reiterating the United States' unwavering support for Ukraine. Romania's President Klaus Iohannis on Thursday hailed the announcement made the previous day by US President Joe Biden over the increase of America's military presence in Romania on NATO's eastern flank should the security situation deteriorate. The Romanian president added that Romania's strategic partnership with France will also be consolidated in the Black Sea region, following the announcement of French President Emmanuel Macron regarding France's willingness to deploy troops on Romania's territory as part of NATO missions. Russia has rallied over 100,000 troops on the Ukrainian border, although has denied allegations over a planned invasion. The Kremlin has called on NATO members to withdraw their troops from countries in Eastern Europe, including Romania. Several rounds of talks between Washington and Moscow have taken place in recent days, producing no results. On Friday, Russia called on NATO to withdraw its troops from Romania and Bulgaria as part of its so-called security guarantees. The Russian Foreign Ministry wants NATO to withdraw its troops, equipment and weapons from ex-Soviet states that were not part of the alliance in 1997. Such is the case of Romania and Bulgaria, although analysts say Russia's demands might also target Poland and the Baltic states. The Kremlin claims the West had promised in the 1990s, at the end of the Cold War, that NATO would never expand to states behind the former Iron Curtain. From Poland to Bulgaria, all former USSR satellites in Central and Eastern Europe are today part of NATO, as well as Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania. A March 2021 survey shows that 81% of Romanians believe the country should be focusing on the West in terms of political and military alliances, namely the EU, the USA and NATO. Only 10.4% of respondents believe Romania should be focusing on Russia and China. And we go out with news from tennis. The pair made up of Jacqueline Cristian of Romania and Andrea Petkovic of Germany today advanced to the second round in the women's doubles at the Australian Open after ousting the all-Romanian pair Simona Halep and Gabriela Ruse in straight sets. The only Romanians left in the women's singles, Simona Halep and Sorana Cârstea, will be competing on Saturday. And that was the news.